everyone, it's Tammy from Yoyomax12, and today I'm talking to you from the basement of my house where I have a bunch of shelving units, and on this particular one I keep all of my cake decorating supplies like sprinkles and candies and colored sugar and all the fun things I need to make my videos. Now many of you may not know this, but I have a full-time job outside of the home and I make my YouTube videos on my days off. That doesn't leave me a lot of free time, but when I do have a little bit of downtime, I like to play games on my computer, on my iPad, and on my phone. And the ones I usually pick are puzzle games like Match 3 games. And I especially like the Match 3 games that are pastry based or candy based. I just find them more fun to play. And in the past, I've always thought how much fun it would be to maybe come up with a playlist of a whole bunch of video game based treats that you find in common video games. Then one day I get an email from Gameloft and they tell me that they are launching a brand new game called Pastry Paradise. Pastry Paradise is a match 3 game with a lot of fun twists in it, and it has some great treats and cakes in the game. And they asked me if I could reproduce one of the really delicious looking cakes from the game in a video. Now this was right up my alley. I said yes immediately, and I decided to make this one right here. It's called a pink dome cake. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to make this pink dome cake. And of course, I'm going to put my own little special twist on it by putting a rainbow inside. Now be sure to stick around to the end of the video because I'm going to show you a quick little trailer about how the game is played. And down in the description box below this video, just click on show more. You'll see all the links you need to download this game for free. And also in the description will be my particular friend code. And if you enter that friend code into your game, we can be linked in the game and then we can send each other gifts and that kind of thing. So it's going to be fun. I hope you download Pastry Paradise. I hope you like it as much as I do. Thanks for watching.
Okay, here we go. In a large mixing bowl, you're going to combine 1 cup of butter that's been softened and 1/2 cup of vegetable shortening. Then you're going to beat in 3 cups of white granulated sugar, 1 cup at a time, and blending well between each of the cups. Then you're going to beat in 5 eggs, 1 at a time, blending after each egg that you add. And don't forget to scrape down the sides of the bowl a couple of times during the blending so you don't lose out on any of those great little bits. And you can just see how wonderfully light and fluffy this is after you add the eggs. Now for the dry ingredients, that's 3 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And just blend the dry ingredients together, set that aside. Now for the liquid, that's 1/2 cup of buttermilk mixed with 1/2 cup of regular milk and 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and give that a quick stir. Now you're going to add your flour and that milk mixture a little bit at a time, and you're going to add them alternately. So a little bit of the flour mixture, then a little bit of the liquid, and keep going back and forth until everything is added and it's nicely blended. So I divided the batter among 6 different bowls as evenly as I could, and I tinted each of the batters a different color of the rainbow. Now I wanted a dome shape, so I used this metal bowl, and then I greased the metal bowl with some cooking spray to make sure the cake wouldn't stick to it while it was baking. After that bowl was well greased, I began to layer the colors of batter, starting off with purple and then upwards to the red color. I used 2 big spoonfuls of batter for each of the layers, and even at that, when I finished with the rainbow, I realized that I had lots of room left in the bowl, so I put another rainbow on top of that. So 2 rainbow layers. So using those colors twice. And they're quite pale, as you can see, but they intensify quite a bit after they bake. So here I am with the second rainbow layer. I gave the bowl a tap just to try to even everything out. Put it in the oven at 350 degrees for about 45 minutes. Then it was getting quite brown. It wasn't quite done in the middle, so I turned it down to 325 for another 15 or 20 until when I put a cake tester in the middle, it came out clean. Now, in order to remove this from the bowl, I used a knife that I had that was quite flexible, and I put it between the bowl and the cake and went all the way around. Now, I had already removed this cake from this bowl once. That's why there's plastic wrap there, because I wanted to put it back in just to keep it on the counter until I was ready to decorate it. Now when I took it out of the bowl, you can see some of the cake stuck to the bottom, but not very much of it. And the other thing this shows you is that even though it's quite dark on the outside, that's just the very outside edge of it. The inside was quite colorful. Now to decorate this, I used buttercream frosting. I made a batch of vanilla that I tinted a very nice shade of pink. And I also made a batch of chocolate frosting, and the recipes will be in the description box for those. First thing I did was take some of that pink frosting and I put a very thin layer on the cake to crumb coat it, which means to seal that cake in. I put that lightly frosted cake in the freezer just to harden up the frosting, and then I put on a second final layer of pink frosting that's a lot thicker. And once I put on the pink frosting to the thickness that I liked, I wanted to smooth this out as much as possible. And one great trick for smoothing out buttercream frosting is to dip your spatula into some hot water, shake off most of the water but not all of it, and then just run it along your cake, and you should be able to get a very, very smooth coating that looks just like fondant. Now I was going to decorate these swirls on the side of the cake. So in order to do that, I drew them onto the cake with a toothpick just to give myself a frame of reference. It's something to follow. Then I put some of that chocolate frosting in a piping bag and then just started to pipe on those chocolate swirls on the sides of the cake, following the little outline I made with a toothpick. So I drew the outline first, filled it in, and then used the same spatula technique just to smooth it out, make it nice and smooth. Now you could probably achieve the same results on this cake by using fondant, but I don't really like the taste of fondant, and I've always done all my cake decorating with buttercream. It's just something that I prefer. Now after I was done, I ended up with 5 of those little swirls on the sides of the cake. I put some chocolate on the top, and if you look on the cake picture that I'm trying to reproduce, each of those swirls is outlined with more chocolate frosting. So that's what I did. I went around with just a plain tip and just outlined the swirls. And then it has kind of like a little crown on the top, which could be chocolate covered strawberries. But I used these coconut chocolate bars that I cut in half and just made a little circle around the top. And then this cake also has these little speckles, which you could use frosting for, but I decided to reproduce them with some miniature chocolate chips. And then finally, I took some strawberries, cut them in half, and decorated the sides of the cake that way, and then filled the top of that little crown with more fresh strawberries. And there is the completed cake. I thought it looked quite a bit like the one from the video game. The color of my frosting could have been a bit pinker, but overall I was quite happy with it. Now the cake itself inside turned out to make a really nice tie-dye kind of swirly pattern, which is also very attractive. The cake is delicious. It's dense, it's moist, and it actually will stay moist for 2-3 days after you make it. It is delicious. I had a lot of fun reproducing this cake from Pastry Paradise, and a big thank you goes out to Gameloft for asking me to make it for them. Now you can make this cake and other delicious confections and have a lot of fun doing it by downloading the game Pastry Paradise. Links will be in the description box below, and if you're still not convinced, check out this trailer.
A dastardly chef is filling the world with cheap mud cakes and canned custard. Let's put some flavor back in the world. Match some pastries in any direction. Bake delicious cakes. And use powerful boosters. Let's show this sourpuss just how sweet our pastries can be. Face off against this distasteful villain and his henchmen in crazy chef bake-offs. Pastry Paradise. Download now.